Shenna Bellows versus Donald Trump, the shocking decision shaking up Maine's politics. Welcome back, my freedom-loving community. Breaking news here on Mainstream Current. I'm your host, Drew Hoagland, bringing you latest developments in what's turning into a contentious political saga. Today's headline: Maine's Secretary of State, Shenna Bellows, has taken a bold and decisive step, removing former President Donald Trump from the state's Republican primary ballot for the 2024 presidential election. Is this an overreach of authority that undermines Maine's democratic process? Had Bellows already made her decision 3 years ago, as some accuse? I'm here to delve into the heart of this crucial decision that's sending shockwaves through the political landscape. Stay tuned as we unravel the implications of this unprecedented move together. First, let's set the stage. Shenna Bellows, Maine's Secretary of State, has ruled that Donald Trump should be disqualified from Maine's primary ballot. Why? Because according to Bellows, Trump engaged in an insurrection as defined by Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. This comes from challenges filed by Maine residents, including Mary Ann Royal and a group led by Kimberly Rawson, Thomas Saveo, and Ethan Strimling. Let's get to the crux of the situation. This audacious move by Secretary Bellows didn't just come out of nowhere. It was propelled by challenges filed by several Maine residents, signaling a deeper unrest within the state's political sphere. First up, Mary Ann Royal, a name that might not ring many bells, or any. But it's now at the forefront of this constitutional debate. While details about her are scarce, her actions speak volumes. Royal's challenge is grounded in the belief that Trump's action disqualify him under the 14th Amendment. It's a bold stance that brought her into the national spotlight. Then there's the group led by Kimberly Rawson, Thomas Saveo, and Ethan Strimling. Each of these individuals brings a unique perspective to the table. Rawson, a former Republican state senator, and Saveo, also a former Republican state senator, are choosing party lines in an unusual alliance with Ethan Strimling, a former Democratic state senator and mayor of Portland. Their collective challenge? They too cite Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, arguing that Trump engaged in insurrection, disqualifying him from holding office. What are they attempting to achieve? It's more than just keeping a name off the ballot. These challenges represent a deeper concern about the integrity of our democratic institutions and the qualifications of those who seek to lead them. By invoking the 14th Amendment, they're not just challenging Trump, they're putting the Constitution itself to the test in today's polarized political climate. As these challenges unfold, they raise critical questions about the balance of political power, the role of state officials in national elections, and the very fabric of our democratic process. Is this a legitimate constitutional check, or a political maneuver with far-reaching consequences? As the story develops, I'll continue to bring you the latest insights and analysis. Now, this is groundbreaking. Never before has a Secretary of State used the 14th Amendment in this way against a former president. One has to wonder, is that something that Secretary of State Shenna Bellows knows and is trying to make a name for herself off of? Food for thought. But so here's where it gets controversial, if it wasn't already. Some argue that Bellows' move is more than just enforcing the law. They see it as a political maneuver, potentially stoking the fires of civil unrest, rather than calming them. Critics are saying that by taking this unprecedented step, Bellows might be doing exactly what she accuses Trump of: igniting division rather than promoting unity. The way that I see it, Shenna Bellows is the very match that she accused Donald Trump of lighting. She is not making calming moves that are good for the state, good for the nation, good for the people that she allegedly represents. It's not a good look. It's not a good look, and she is that very match that she accuses Trump of lighting. Let's delve deeper into the constitutionality of the decision. The 14th Amendment, Section 3, does disqualify individuals who have engaged in the insurrection from holding office. But has this been judiciously proven in Trump's case? Not quite. This is where the waters get murky. The 14th Amendment, Section 3, goes as such. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who, having previously taken an oath, a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any of the state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid to comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, Key Facts and the Congressional Override Provision. Disqualifications for insurrection or rebellion. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment states that no one can serve as a senator, representative in Congress, elector of the president and vice president, or hold any civil or military office under the United States or any state if they have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the United States, or given aid or comfort to its enemies. This clause was primarily aimed at former Confederates after the Civil War. And I just want to point out that everything I've been saying is very wordy, it's very lengthy, it's all one sentence. I can't stop scratching my nose. I need to trim the hair on my mustache, I guess. So it's all very wordy for a reason. Everything there was included for a reason, otherwise it wouldn't have been in there. It would have been superfluous. So everything in there means something. And they even added an amendment at the end, not an amendment, but they added a clause at the end that could override everything they just worked through. So even then, there was a back door. There was always some room for interpretation. So the applicability, the disqualification applies to individuals who have previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States. This includes members of Congress, officers of the United States, and executive or judicial officers of any state. Congressional override. Critically, the amendment provides a mechanism for Congress to override this disqualification. According to the text, Congress, by a 2/3 vote in each house, has the power to remove this disability, which I want to stress. I've pointed it out. I just want to stress that. It is there for a reason, and I don't think that many other political pundits or political commentators are focusing on that. And that's a pretty lengthy thing. To me, it does not seem like what Shenna Bellows has decided will stand in court at all. I think that it's going to distract. I think that it's part of a 4D chess game. And I think Shenna Bellows is playing into the legislative branches, not to constituents of Maine, because her constituents are the legislature. And we'll get into that. So the implications, this means that while the amendment sets forth a clear disqualification for those who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion, there is a pathway for reinstatement. The 2/3 requirement in both the House of Representatives and the Senate underscores the gravity and rarity of such an action. Historical context. Introduced during the Reconstruction era, this clause was instrumental in preventing former Confederates who had actively participated in or supported the rebellion from holding public office. However, by the late 1870s, most of the disqualifications imposed under this clause were lifted by Congress. Just years after it was enacted, they themselves saw the folly in their way and they started to they started to go back on some of the things that they had previously said within a very short time frame. So that alone for legal reasons, it's going to have some gravity. Contemporary relevance. In modern times, this clause has been referenced in discussions about disqualification of individuals who are perceived to have supported or engaged in acts against the government of the United States. Legal interpretation. The interpretation of what constitutes engagement in insurrection or rebellion can be complex and has been the subject of legal and political debate. Any determination of disqualification under this clause would typically involve legal proceedings and potentially congressional action for reinstatement. Now, let's delve into a tale of contrasting responses to political rhetoric. Political rhetoric. I'm comparing the situation of House Speaker Rachel Talbot Ross, a Democrat from Portland, and former President Donald Trump, a Republican. I don't know what I was going to say there. A Republican. Rum-pum-pum-pum. Both faced controversy over their words, but the aftermath? Strikingly different. Let's explore. In today's political climate, words matter more than ever. But how those words are perceived and the consequences that follow can vary greatly. Case in point, Rachel Talbot Ross and Donald Trump. Let's start with Rachel Talbot Ross. The Maine House Speaker found herself in hot water after calling for storming of the Capitol. She made these comments twice, following up saying, "I'm very serious," expressing her frustration over what she described as white supremacist ideology at the Maine Department of Education.
Grade, get it. This is an atrocity, what the Department of Education has done. An atrocity. We should all storm the institution out of anger that this is the attitude that they've taken about our history. Not mine, ours. We should be storming the Capitol. Really, I'm serious. Because what the Department of Education has done is it's made excuses for not teaching our children the truth about this country, this soil that we're on now, and the labor that made their economies possible.
Her words were strong, and they echoed through the hall of political discourse. However, after issuing an apology for her choice of words, acknowledging that they were too extreme to the max, the issue largely faded from political scrutiny. Now, let's take a look at Donald Trump. The former president has been accused of inciting insurrection, a charge that stems from the events of January 6. Despite not being formally charged with insurrection, Trump faces disqualification from the Maine primary ballot under the 14th Amendment, Section 3, as decided by Secretary of State Shenna Bellows. So, here's the burning question. Why the different treatment? Rachel Talbot Ross, after a brief apology, seems to have moved past her comments with little long-term fallout. In contrast, Trump, without formal charges, faces significant political consequences. Is this a case of double standards in political accountability? Does the severity of the situation warrant a tougher stance on Trump, or should similar standards apply across the board regardless of political affiliation or office held? This disparity in response to Ross and Trump raises questions about consistency, fairness, and the power of public apology in political controversies. As we navigate these complex issues, the need for balanced and equitable treatment of political figures remains a cornerstone of our democratic values. What do you think about these two cases? Should political figures be held to the same standards regardless of their position or party? Share your comments down below. I would really appreciate them. From here, let's turn our attention to a crucial aspect of this controversy that raises questions about impartiality and fairness. We're focusing on Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows and her actions that some are calling into question. Back in 2021, well before the official proceedings began, Bellows took to then Twitter, publicly declaring her personal convictions that former President Donald Trump had committed insurrection. This tweet, which predates any formal legal evaluation or evidence presented in the case has become a focal point for those questioning the legitimacy of her decisions to remove Trump from the Maine primary ballot. The crux of the matter? Impartiality. As Secretary of State Bellows is expected to uphold a standard of unbiased judgment, especially in matters as weighty and divisive as disqualifying a presidential candidate from a state ballot. Critics argue that her preconceived stance on the matter, as evidenced by her tweet, shows a clear bias. They contend that this should have led her to recuse herself from making any decisions related to Trump's candidacy. Legal experts and political analysis are now scrutinizing this aspect of the case. They ask, can a public official who has been openly expressed a strong personal opinion on such a politically charged issue later act as a neutral arbiter in a related legal challenge? The implications of this question go far beyond Trump's candidacy, touching on the integrity of our electoral process and the expectations of impartiality in public office. As this story unfolds, it brings to light the importance of not just the letter of the law, but also the spirit in which it's applied. In a nation deeply divided along political lines, the actions and words of our leaders are under intense scrutiny. The case of Shenna Bellows and Donald Trump disqualification from Maine's ballot becomes a litmus test for the role of personal bias in a public decision-making. Trump, unsurprisingly, is fighting back, and his supporters are rallying. The decision is now poised to become a battleground issue with potential legal challenges that could go all the way to the Supreme Court. The big question is, does this decision protect our democracy, or is it a partisan move that could backfire, deepening the divide in an already polarized nation? In the midst of a heated debate around Secretary of State Shenna Bellows' decision to disqualify Donald Trump from Maine's primary ballot, it's crucial to understand how Maine's Secretary of State is chosen. This process, quite unique to Maine, differs significantly from many other states and raises important questions about democratic representation and accountability. Unlike the majority of the U.S., states where the Secretary of State is elected by popular vote, Maine's Secretary of State is appointed through a legislative vote. Yes, you heard that right. The Maine legislature, comprising both the House and the Senate, elects the Secretary of State. Not you and I, we the people, but the legislature. They choose. We elect them, but then they have the freedom to choose the Secretary of State, who then, apparently in Shenna Bellows' case, thinks lord over us and can make us follow her edicts. But that doesn't work this way. So this means rather than being directly accountable to the public, like you and I, we the people, through elections, the Secretary's accountability is primarily to the state legislature. How does this differ from other states? Well, in most states, the Secretary of State, being an elected position, requires campaigning, presenting a platform to the public, and ultimately earning the mandate of the voters. This process tends to ensure a direct line of accountability to the public, aligning the Secretary's actions with the voters' interest. The implications of Maine's approach are profound. On one hand, it could be argued that this method depoliticizes the office, potentially leading to a more neutral and policy-focused administration. On the other hand, critics argue that its distance from the public having a direct say in who oversees critical aspects of their state's governance, including elections and state records. This brings us to the heart of our democratic principles. Should the office overseeing our elections, arguably a cornerstone of democracy, be one step removed from direct public scrutiny and choice? Does Maine's unique approach serve its citizens well, or does it create a gap in the democratic process? Leave your thoughts down below. As the debate rages over Bellows' decision, these questions about Maine's process of selecting its Secretary of State gain new urgency and relevancy. The role of the Secretary, especially in turbulent political times, is more critical than ever. How Maine, and indeed other states, choose these key officials could shape the very nature of their democracies. What's clear is this: Shenna Bellows' decision is not just about a ballot. It's a flashpoint in the ongoing battle over the legacy of the Trump presidency and the future of the American electoral politics. So what do you think? Is Bellows upholding the Constitution? Or is she playing with fire in a highly charged political landscape? Let me know your thoughts and comments below. If you like my content, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that jazz, because I love to do these deep dives where we look into current issues, political leaders that are shaping our lives, places around Maine, the history of Maine, the history of Margaret Chase Smith and other iconic individuals that have come from Maine. That is something that is dear to my heart. I love doing this. This video did come out in a snap. It's not going to be edited like my previous videos. I'm going to edit this one myself because I need to get it out so quickly. This was breaking news. I was actually working on something else. I have another video that I was going to release, but this one's going to come first. And so on that note, I need to start editing because it's going to take me a while and I don't know how good it's going to be, but I'm going to try my darndest. And just let me know your thoughts down below because I do this for you guys. I do this for my ever-growing community. I'm trying to make it known what is happening in our lives because there's such a lack of Maine-based news on YouTube. I love watching different podcasts, political news, all that jazz, pop culture even. And when it comes to Maine, there is a severe lack. So I'm trying to fill I'm trying to fill that hole myself. So if you like that, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Leave a mountain emoji here. Well, leave it in the comments down below, but that'll just let me know that you watched all the way through to the end, and I will know to thank you personally. So until next time, community, I hope you guys have a great night, great day, great evening, wherever you are. Enjoy it. Until next time. All right, community, I just finished editing the previous film, and I'm grateful for the individual that helps edit for me because it is difficult. It's not easy, and what I did, I'm proud of, but every time I do it, I learn, so I feel I could do it better. But this was breaking news, and it is intended to get out quickly. So that being said, I want to also just interject here at the end of the video and let you know that this is the last video of 2023. Now we're getting ready for 2024. I'm going to try editing a few fun things in there. We'll see how I do. I had planned on posting another Angus King video, but where this one was breaking news, it just seemed right to get out. So that being said, there are plenty of videos coming for 2024. I am thankful for everyone that has been here in the community so far. I'm thankful for the growing numbers, and I look forward to everyone that's going to be coming on board in 2024. So until next time, until next year, until next year, I already have some videos, so it's going to be some time travel. They're already filmed, but they're going to come out later. I'm talking about things, so it'll be fun, yeah. So, all right, until next year, y'all. You guys have a great rest of your year, and 2024, let's make it better.